very formal. This is the House on Un-American Activities.
So what has been the challenge of taking a film and then following it up?
Well, Senator Flash.
At no time did I have any knowledge of the challenges of. There are challenges and opportunities at every stage of the way. I think the first challenge for me, the guy who's going to write the pilot, is to figure out if it's even a good idea to do it in the first place. And if it is, how does the world of the series intersect with the world of the movie? And there are a number of options on the table. You could recast the role of Eddie Moore, Bradley Cooper's character, and tell that same story again, or you could recast it and tell the story of a senator on drugs. But what I liked about this particular property was that the MacGuffin, the pills, NZT-48, are by definition portable, and they can be given to anybody. So that our concept for the series is that we acknowledge everything that happened in the movie and we accept it, and occasionally we interact with the events and the characters of the movie on screen. But we're taking another character. It's almost better phrased as a spin-off than it is a sequel. It's definitely not a remake. We're exploring what happens when another character who has similarities but also major differences from Eddie gets steady access to this drug and what it means in his life. And then you got to cast it, and then there's I can talk about challenges for the next 40 minutes. I'm gonna tweet this.
Will we find any that he does actually have limits on the stuff that he can do?
Yes, absolutely. I think Limitless is it's not a. I think it's an effective title. It definitely is something people respond to. I don't take it literally though. Because I think that. The drug doesn't make you. It doesn't lead to utter perfection. That to me, you get to an unrelatable place very quickly. And you know what? He's God in the third episode in that version. So there are huge limits, and it doesn't confer any special physical abilities on you beyond the fact that your brain can interpret the limits of your body better. But absolutely, it's a we call it a really grounded superhero concept in a way.
But he'll be stumped. I didn't mean he's not going to be able to leap tall buildings and things like that. But
stumped all constantly. It's very hard to write an investigative show if you can't stump your investigator. Yeah.
Well, he's got it. It's okay.
Oh, he solved it again.
Yeah.
They're 3-minute-long episodes.
Let's juggle.
Which is a new experiment on CBS.
So how is it creating that when you're basing it? But stuff that he can do is he has to have acquired that knowledge or somewhere in the past. So how do you go about, you're stumping him, but you're in places, but then choosing in other places to tie those things back into?
Well, if he hasn't been exposed to something, for example, a language, he has to understand and learn it. There are limitations, and there's a slight alteration in terms of his abilities that in the movie versus the television show. There is complications that will present themselves from time to time that are, I think will provide a really interesting source of drama and friction as the series goes on.
I thought I had something to add to that, but I'm not sure what I did.
So will the weekly show, will it be some new case that they're working on each week and then some overlong arc?
Most typically, yes. It's a hybrid of serialized and standalone storytelling. To describe it, I've been drawing analogies between Limitless and shows that aren't like it in tone or content, but that use the same model, which is that you have one serialized story that is told over the course of a season that begins and ends, that is set against the backdrop of a number of standalone episodes. And so if you think about shows like Buffy the Vampire Slayer or The Shield, to use two wildly different examples, but if you look at each season of those shows, you can look back and go, oh, that was the year that they took down the Armenian money train, even though that was probably 3 out of 12 episodes of that season. So, season 3 of Buffy was the year that she dealt with Faith and the mayor, even though that was 5 or 6 episodes of that season. And when you look back on it all, it feels like chapters in a book. That's a model I like for like the long orders of series. Because you have to do standalones just to. Otherwise, you just get to a crazy place very fast.
Yeah. One more question, guys.
What made Jake your Batman?
He had a combination of sort of a physical acumen that was really good. He's a muscular guy, but he also had a emotional capacity that was really great. You know what I mean? He could do the tough scenes that required, when he's coming off NZT, for example, and when you need to feel something a little bit more deeply. He was fantastic. Bradley also was a huge advocate of him. Bradley had worked with him on American Sniper and really tuned us into him. And he came in, we met with him, and we just thought he was fantastic. He's just, as Craig says, at the right place in his career. You know what I mean? Like, he's not overexposed. But boy, is he on the verge of something really great. And also, then he just kind of feels like Brian. He felt this kind of like relatable guy who's funny and goofy and like, fun to hang out with and plays video games, but then also has another layer to his personality that is fun to play with.
It's one of those things that feels like it must have always been inevitable.
Yeah, sure.
In retrospect, even though it didn't feel that way at all when it was happening.
Thanks.